Trump's plan for US Space Force challenges deep state secrecy. On June 18, President Donald Trump gave a speech where he called for the development of a United States Space Force that takes over current space functions of the US Air Force. The proposed Space Force would become the sixth branch of the US military and would have equal authority to the US Air Force. At the National Space Council meeting held at the White House, Trump said, "We must have American dominance in space. I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. We are going to have the Air Force and we're going to have the Space Force. Separate but equal. It is going to be something so important." End quote. Trump then commanded General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to, quote, "carry that assignment out," end quote. Trump's stance is at odds with previous statements by the US Air Force Secretary, the Air Force Chief of Staff, and James Mattis, Secretary of Defense, who all came out in opposition to a congressional initiative in 2017 to establish a Space Corps. Mattis wrote in a letter, "I oppose the creation of a new military service and additional organizational layers at a time when we are focused on reducing overhead and integrating joint warfighting efforts." End quote. Trump's initiative thereby stands out since he has gone against the recommendation of his most senior military advisors. As pointed out by one military analyst, Trump does not have the authority to create a new military service. Only the US Congress can do so. Trump does have, however, the authority to start planning for the creation of such a service, as he demonstrated by ordering General Dunford to start the process. There are multiple questions that arise from Trump's initiative. Why is he going forward on a plan that is opposed by his senior military advisors? How does the proposed Space Force mesh with whistleblower/insider claims that the Air Force already has a secret space program? Finally, what of additional claims that the US Navy has a much more advanced deep space program with kilometers-long space carriers that use space marines as a fighting force? In finding answers to such questions, it is important to understand that by ordering the creation of a Space Force, Trump is shaking the bureaucratic and corporate tree that hides the secret space program that the Air Force runs, along with the National Reconnaissance Office, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the National Security Agency. Large aerospace companies such as Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, etc., supply the technologies and components for the Air Force's secret space program. Consequently, the military-industrial complex/deep state has played a major role in setting space policy due to its ability to manipulate Air Force officials through the supply and acquisition process. In earlier articles, I've described a limited disclosure plan to reveal the existence of 2 or more space stations along with anti-gravity flying triangles, or TR-3Bs, and other exotic spacecraft built by these corporations. Tom DeLonge's To the Stars Academy also appears to be part of a limited disclosure initiative, as previously explained. The US Navy's secret space program is allegedly the most highly classified and advanced secret space program, and compartmentalization has been so successful that few Air Force officials believe that the Navy possesses such a program. One thing that has become clear, though, is that the truth about the Navy's program will only be revealed after the US Air Force first discloses its secret space program. Based on my analyses of photographs of craft taken near MacDill Air Force Base and the experiences of the photographer who interacted with the craft's occupants, it has become evident that the US Air Force Special Operations Command provides the personnel for the US Air Force's secret space program. Air Force Special Operations Command is one of the 10 major commands that make up the US Air Force. Another command central to space operations is Air Force Space Command. While Air Force Space Command handles logistics and technologies for space operations, Air Force Special Operations Command handles personnel. Therefore, the real purpose in Trump proposing the Space Force is that he wants to accelerate the disclosure process by which the technologies and know-how that are used in the Air Force's secret space program are taken away from the multiple bureaucracies and corporations that secretly run it, the military-industrial complex/deep state. Trump wants the office of the chief executive, the White House, to play a direct role in setting the policy agenda for future space operations, which for decades have been set without any real oversight by the White House. In the planning and creation of a US Space Force, Trump has initiated a process by which he and the White House will play a more influential role in future space policy, which hitherto has been controlled by the US Air Force secret space program and the military-industrial complex/deep state. The last president to confront the military-industrial complex/deep state in such a brazen way over advanced aerospace technologies, or UFOs, was John F. Kennedy with his twin memoranda on November 12, 1963, initiating joint space and lunar operations with the Soviet Union. The tragic outcome for President Kennedy is well known. I predict that Trump is likely to have more success with his Space Force initiative. This has been Dr. Michael Salla with exopolitics.org. Please take a look at my new book, Antarctica's Hidden History, Corporate Foundations of Secret Space Programs. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please support exonews.org for a roundup of international exo news from around the world. Thank you and aloha.